It's crime fighting time.
Oh, today's all about the exclusives, which isn't always a good thing, but they're still toys, and I'm going to talk about them because that's what I do. I'm Robo. This here's the Rewind. Swinging back around to last week because at that time I only had a little sneaky peeky picture of the Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Wave 12, and I said something to the effect of there's probably going to be a lot of but maybe a little, but the majority will probably be okay. Maybe I need to get off the internet a little bit more because I fear that I have become jaded from all the perceived negativity. Because, as far as I can tell, these were fairly well received for the most part. Don't get me wrong, toy news on the internet is always going to have some grumbles and then some over-the-top positive. You know, there's this and then there's this. It's hard to sort through and see this. That's what we have to do these days. We have to sort a little to get to the middle ground. Saying that, it's still easy to fall into the, well, it's negativity everywhere. No. So I kind of expect it. But again, it seems like fans of the 2003 Turtles have kind of jumped on the wagon here. Maybe. I say it like that because I don't know a lot about 2003 Turtles, so I haven't kept track. I don't know how accurate these are. I don't know. I just know that I can look at these and go, oh, well, another set of TMNT. Seeing these, though, I'm kind of interested in going back and watching that show, as I tend to say many times throughout the year, and then never go and actually watch it. But my interest level ticked up just a little. Those are kind of cool looking. Click. So that says something about these figures, right? Either way, if you're in, you're in. If you're out, there are plenty of other turtles in the sea. Now that I say that out loud, it's true on a couple levels, right? But we're talking about the realm of action figures, and in that aspect, there's also the NECA San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Eastman and Laird 40th Anniversary 2-pack. I did it! I know I didn't put all the words in there, but I got the basics. As I mentioned back at the first, this is just one of many exclusives we're discussing today, but to further separate those, this is pain in the ass to get territory, at least so far. It's been available on the NECA store the past few days, and every time it sells out fairly fast. I see a lot of comments and tweets and whatevers of, hey, got my set, or got this, or got a couple to fill out the team. But me, I keep forgetting about the time. And I know that's on me, that's my own fault, but I come back 30 minutes later, and it seems to be the turtles sell out first and then everything else kind of trickles out. But why wouldn't it sell out despite people saying, NECA only makes turtles, where's this, and this? Well, a company is going to make what sells, and when you put out a good-looking retro pair of turtles, then yeah. I mean, each is styled after the first sketches from each artist who created the turtles. Why wouldn't they? I mean, okay, this may not be everyone's cup of ooze. There is an oddness to it, especially after 40 years of looking at kind of the same designs for turtles. These skew away from the popular versions. But as a snapshot in history, it totally works. I mean, yeah, okay, I can see what you're saying. I can. But to me, it's a part of history that needs to be commemorated in plastic form in my display somewhere. This is just one of many options. Again, lots of turtles. I gotta think they're gonna do a black and white version at some point, because that would be even more accurate to that. Maybe the colorized versions are the exclusives, and then down the road we see the black and whites in a more general release type situation. So I'm not too bothered by not getting these, at least so far. I will be at the show, but that guarantees nothing. Nothing. And even then, I feel like I only need one set. Not a team, but one set. One of one turtle, one of the other. Give them both bow staffs, because why wouldn't I? Joefest happened last weekend, and I am kicking my own ass for not going to this show. It's definitely on the list for next year, though. Somehow, some way, I will find my way to Joefest. Special thanks to Big Dub, though, who was sending me pictures throughout the weekend and ended up sending me oh, I left it back there, but we'll show that at the end of the show. But getting pictures and comments from him made it even harder. I'm like, every time I'd open an email or a message, it was like, why am I not there? Why am I not gazing and gawking at new action figures? Shooting through some of the new things, Ramen Toy had several versions of their upcoming tank on display. There's the Joefest exclusive. I told you today would be exclusive heavy. Now didn't I? The Joefest exclusive desert paint job version. Then there's the standard green and all its options because you can swap out the turret with rockets or the bridge layer. I think my favorite is the double barrel double door rail cannon tank though. You know me, I like a little sci-fi mixed in with my army man shoot 'em ups. Speaking of that, Ramen also debuted Titanium Titans, their collaboration with Riot Press. Just spacefaring beings fighting the monsters of evil out on the outer edges of the galaxy. Those wings look familiar, don't they? That's okay though, the figures look cool. American Ninja X looks very interesting. Kind of a mix of Captain America and Storm Shadow, or well, Snake Eyes, I guess, right? There's the red and blue. 80s Commanders is getting more hardware with the Phantom foil. We've seen the bread car, well, we've seen a couple things, but the bread car will be under $100, which seems like a hell of a deal for this much plastic, this much vehicle. I know it's just the chassis and then the insides and some add-ons, and future versions of the bread car, like with a certain A-team aspect to it, will push over that $100 limit, but it still seems very affordable for what it is. Aces of Aviation are also on the verge of releasing, making their final pass at the factory. In fact, I'll be taking a look at one of those very, very soon. Finally, Ramen is very aware of the popularity of the Ramen Racer, and will probably find more ways to re-release this later. Maybe different color schemes, tweaks, not the exact car, but variations on it too. Until then, there's still the car in orange and then the Ramen Razor. That makes it kind of more Mad Maxy. Mad Maxy. Fresh Monkey Fiction was also set up at Joefest, and they had some new goodies too. Operation Monster Force Season 3 will bring Mr. Legacy and the Ambassador of Relay. A look in the case also reveals 13 Ghosts the Goblin, the Red Devil, and Dr. Rand. Up in the back there, we've seen this Sasquatch figure before, but it seems Fresh Monkey has moved away from repurposing the Memory Toys War Bear for the body. This seems to be smoother and less scarred up on the torso, hairier on the arms and legs, and just better articulated all the way around. And have we seen the Yeti before? There's so many toys. But if we haven't seen it before, here's our first look at that. If we have seen it before, here's another look, and I'm thinking I need the Yeti more than the Sasquatch. Don't get me wrong, I need Chatsworth. But this is the next, mean looking. I can use that in a lot of places. Another reason I hate that I missed Joefest is because I didn't get to gawk at the Monster Force diorama. This was made by action.figure.sold.separately on Instagram, and the link is down in the description if you want to follow the progress on that. I find stuff like this very interesting because my brain doesn't work like that. I can't just take foam and go, okay, I'm gonna make rock and brick and castle and this kind of stuff. I'm more of a tracer, I guess, color by numbers kind of guy. When I make a custom, I can pick stuff, you know, but when it comes to creating, this is way above my skill level. Fresh Monkey also announced Soldiers of Fortune, which seems to be a little more generic, but still cool if you want troop builders or double knot agent spy tops. Is it just me, or are the close combat operatives in Deadpool and Wolverine colors? Finally, there is the Cops and Crooks Bulletproof. Now, I have no idea how this license works, but if it gets more Cops and Crooks in our hands, then I'm kind of okay with it. Bulletproof here looks just like his vintage toy counterpart, just with modern sculpting and updated articulation. Just how I like my nostalgia. I think I was more into the cartoon than the toys, and I'm sure they showed it there, but somehow I do not remember the absurdity of a metal midsection. The way it's a half dress shirt and the pants only come up to the thigh. That is some just absolute silliness, and I say that with all the love in my heart because I also like that kind of thing. Old BP vest does come with a cloth trench coat though. It's listed in the promo picture and then you can see it in the case behind some of the other figures. Very curious to see where this goes. A lot of this will be available on Big Bad Toy Store, so click the link in the description right now if you're interested in an exclusive colorway for Loosecollector's The Crypt Monster Hide. Oh, I almost made it. I kind of stumbled there at the end because there was a now believe me, I hear you. I'm right there with you. When I first saw the pictures, I thought, well, it's just Hyde with gray hair. Maybe he got into an accident and couldn't come to school, 'cause when he came back, his hair had turned from black into bright white. I guess he'll say it's from when the cars smashed so hard. You guys know me at this point. My mind is only a mishmash of toys, cartoons, movie quotes, and random song lyrics. After some digging, I did find a side-by-side on Loosecollector's Facebook page, and there are more differences than you initially think. The greens are also a little darker, and the skin tones are a bit more healthy. It never bothered me on the original that it had a sickly pale complexion, and it still doesn't. It's Monster Hyde. It makes it even more monstrous. But seeing it in these colors, I kinda like this one better. Either way, Big Brick of a figure can double as a blunt force weapon and still a pretty sweet action figure. So there's that. Speaking of sweet action figures, Mezco debuted their 1/12 Collective G.I.Joe Snake Eyes Commando Edition this week. I don't think anyone disagrees that this is the vastly superior version of this character. Wait, what? No. Wait, I didn't say. Well, that's cool too, but I know, I never. Okay, I did say that. I did say that I like sci-fi mixed in with my army man shoot-em-ups. But for some reason, when it comes to Snake Eyes, I like the more grounded type look. It's a jumble up here. Now the ninja versions and the later with the blades and the silver goggles and then the oranges and that's all cool. That's a natural evolution of the character in order to stand out against a lot of the newer G.I. Joes. But for me, I just like the plain old secret operative dressed all in black. I guess here I like a little more realism than they mix the blood of 50 ninja masters into a cake and then the birthday boy got sword prowess and super stealthy and rough, gruff exterior while having a ooey gooey heart of gold. Or something like that, however G.I. Joe Origins stories go. Seems kind of lean for the $112 price tag. There's one head and then an armory of weapons, but it's also exclusive to their MezcoCon 2024. There's that word again, exclusive. That usually means a little harder to get, higher in the price tag department. That's just exclusives for you. Wonk wonk. So of course this is already sold out by the time we're talking about it. It is waitlisted, so if you're interested, throw your name in there, see what happens. Maybe the spirits of 50 ninja masters will descend upon you and bring you good luck or something. I don't know. It's the Medicom MAFEX time of the month, and on the Marvel side of things, we're getting integrated suit Spider-Man from No Way Home. Now, I say it like that because don't get me wrong, I love Spider-Man. I love figures of Spider-Man, but man, there is a point where a person could burn out on Spider-Man figures. On one hand, this is cool. This is great. One of the reasons Medicom waits so long after the property releases to make their figures is to make sure that it is as accurate as possible, at least for the most part. Yes, there are some stumbles, but they aren't racing to get their figure out there first. And really, this is a great looking Spider-Man. I love the proportions. It looks very Tom Holland. But again, it is yet another Spider-Man. We've gotten the Hasbros, we've gotten the SH Figure Arts, now we got the MAFEX. I think that's pretty much the top tiers when it comes to Spider-Man figures. Well, and depending on your own personal sensibilities and opinions on, actually, there's Amazing Yamaguchi. I don't think they've made any movie figures though. As far as MCU goes, or cinematic Spider-Mans, that's the top three. Hasbro and SH Figure Arts are usually neck and neck trying to fight for that first release, and then here comes Medicom taking their sweet ass time later like, hey, are you done bickering back there? Well, here's ours. But they also run the risk of waiting too long after the movie come out, and the hype is, well, there will always be hype for Spider-Man, but you know what I mean. That it's like, oh, when did No Way Home come out? Was that perhaps 62 years ago or something like that? But that's me. That's where I am with Spider-Mans at this point. Because saying all that, I'm still kind of interested in where they're going to go with Andrew Garfield. Are they going to get to that point? Is that going to be the next tease? Or is it going to be under the Spider-Man 2 banner like the other companies had to do? Or, maybe I'm more interested in the intrigue, the mystery. What will happen? We'll see how I feel then. With MAFEX, it's become a, well, yeah, I don't need that. And then as release time creeps closer and closer, I get kind of, well, maybe. But I didn't pre-order Tobey Maguire. I probably don't need this. I'm pretty happy with what I have. But that's just me. Again, can only speak for myself. Because I'm not burned out on Dr. Fate at all. For obvious reasons. Not that I'm a super fan of the movie. In fact, I couldn't tell you the plot or what happened through most of it. But I do feel that it did a lot of the characters' costumes justice. That, and I did like Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. Is that enough to make me nab this? Again, not at this exact moment, but we'll see how I feel in a few months later on down the road. It does catch my eye enough for me to pore over the pictures several times in the past few days, just gawking at design that I didn't even realize was on the costume. Like the texture to the bodysuit. I mean, I guess I knew there was texture there, but my brain's become numb to that kind of thing because all the movies do this for all the characters. Well, we have to make this visually interesting in places, can't leave it smooth. But I guess I didn't realize that it was actual designs, almost like runes over his body. The gold is also super well done on the figure. Now I realize this is a prototype, but hopefully on the finished factory figure, it still looks like magical, smooth metal all over him. The asymmetry of the helmet is not my favorite aspect, but thankfully, the Pierce Brosnan unmasked head looks pretty damn good. If I were to get this, that's probably how I would display it. I say right now, before getting to the accessories and how much I love those. I'd have to have hands free. He couldn't be holding the helmet, so it would have to be on doing his full-on magical thing. So, see, I almost talked myself into it there, but then I talked myself back out because that's just too many decisions to be made. I can't buy a figure and then just spend a day trying to decide how I'm going to display the damn thing. Who has that kind of time? Close call, close call. Since we're talking DC and haven't talked about McFarlane toys in a couple of weeks, it looks like Walmart's gonna get a couple of DC Multiverse exclusives too. Exclusive? First up there is the DC vs. Vampires Shazam. I think I say this every time they show one of these figures. Man, the heroes got their ass kicked. Was there any of them that did not get turned? This is okay. It's neat if you're collecting that corner of the DC universe. And it's a good exclusive because it takes a character and just changes a couple things up. It's not as necessary in the grand scheme of things as some other characters. You know, like Max Mercury, who is also a DC Multiverse Walmart exclusive. Now I know of Max, but I don't know enough to make any kind of judgment calls. Like, in my brain, I look at it and go, seems kind of young for Max. Or am I mixing him up with Jay and then this? Is he supposed to be older? No, he's supposed to. I just know that in the Flash terms, if I were doing everything DC Multiverse, I would want Max on that shelf. It says pre-order soon. I think next month. I think they're having some kind of event. But if you don't catch it there, you're left haunting the toy aisles, the pegs. And that's not always fun. In fact, it's rarely fun. Let's just move on to other exclusives. At least Hiya Toys put their San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Exquisite Super Series Cursed Earth Judge Dredd on Amazon, which is a little easier to get, right? Nope! It's already sold out. It went pretty quick. Hey, I can only show you the pretty pictures. I don't make any of the decisions when it comes to when and where the exclusives go up. At first I thought this was just a re-release of the Hiya Toy 6-inch Dredd that is hitting right now, with a cloth poncho that's torn up a bit. And that is the case. That is the exclusive item. But this is also a redeco. D-Amazing has a comparison video up right now, and it seems like the colors are a bit darker. There's a wash to it to make it dirtier. You know, he goes out into the dirty. Yeah. And then the skin tones are a bit more comic book-like. Oh, and the bat is bloody because you have to survive out on the cursed earth. Not a huge difference. In fact, like we just talked about, this is a good exclusive release because it's something that most people already have in the main line, or if you got the regular version, just a bit different in the paint department. It's a dirty Dredd. Not a unique character, just a repaint with an extra goodie or two. You know, the exact opposite of the Mattel San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Masters of the Universe Origins 2-Bad. When I first saw this, I read Origins in the title and I thought, cool, I don't need this. I don't collect Origins. And I don't have to put it in the rewind notes because I don't talk about Origins. Woo! Dodged a bullet on that one. Wait a second. What's with those heads? Why do they look like... What? Wait. What's that on the package down... Son of a bitch! It's my beloved cartoon collection. I'm all in on that line because it's a slightly larger scale and it's Filmation inspired. And that is my favorite, my absolute favorite version of Masters of the Universe. Sure, the Tuvar and Badra thing came along later, but still, you combine them together, too bad. Even though I don't remember him much in the cartoon, this is pure Filmation, and Too Bad back in the day was one of my favorite figures. Yeah, why wouldn't you like a figure that can punch the other in the face? Just Mattel will be offering this up on their creation site the week of San Diego Comic-Con to give everyone else a chance too, so hopefully this won't be too hard to get. Like I said, going to the show is no guarantee. In fact, most of the time when it comes to Mattel, I'm staring out from the food court. It's usually close to that, and I'm like, man, the line's already capped, or already sold out. The show just opened. What the... Anyway, if you're an Origins proper fan, you gotta think that parts of this will be reused for a Too-Bad in that line, right? I mean, it's too good to pass up. I think Mattel said that they're gonna do every vintage figure in that new updated form, right? So, he's coming. He's coming. Saying all that, Mattel, come here. Why call your cartoon collection Origins? I get it. Origins is that break apart fun factor. You know, it's still 80s inspired, and I guess this could be an offshoot of Origins, but it'd be a lot easier to keep track of if you would just split off cartoon collection from Origins. That way, when you say Origins, you mean Origins. If you say cartoon collection, you mean cartoon collection. Make it easier for me. Oh, and why is there so much dead air in the package? The boxes are so much bigger than the figures. The total opposite of the Hasbro San Diego Comic-Con exclusive G.I. Joe Classified Series Once a Man Cobra Commander. Except here, and probably here. And I guarantee there's nothing behind there. But the package does a good job of making it look like it's not a bunch of empty space around the figure. Makes it way more presentable before I just rip it to shreds trying to get to the sweet action figure inside. Except I'm not really invested in Once a Man Cobra Commander. Kind of like Nemesis Immortal last week when I said, what did I say? Well, I don't know a dang thing about Nemesis Immortal, and you cannot be a true G.I. Joe fan and not watch the movie. Did you never watch the movie? I think at that time, if I saw it, it was only like once. I've seen Transformers the movie way more times. Plus, I've never heard a lot of good things about the Cobra Law stuff. So I've heard that they're doing a much better job with it in the comic books. So basing those. Either way, that's the long roundabout way to come back around to, it looks cool. And actually, I think I like the snake form better than the actual Cobra Commander, because I have that retro card Cobra Commander coming, and that's my Cobra Commander. So again, this is neat, but on the list of San Diego Comic-Con exclusive priorities, depends on how hard it is to get, because there's also some bread and butter on the menu. Before we get to the exclusive though, Hasbro did put their Star Wars Black Series Rebel Trooper and Stormtrooper 2-pack up for pre-order this week. This was pipelined a month or two back, and I guess I forgot because Trooper and Trooper. Now I love Troopers, especially Stormtroopers, and I am kind of tempted by the green eyes here, but when it comes to the Rebel Trooper, isn't this just the mainline release? No changes whatsoever? I already have several of both. Like I said, I'm kind of interested in the Stormtrooper, but if they had changed the head on the Rebel Trooper, freshened it up a bit, then I would have been down for this. As is, no, I'll be saving my money for other things. I do like that they once again priced a multi-pack cheaper than it would have been to buy the two individual figures separately. Did that sentence come out right? It made sense in my head, but as I started thinking about other things as it was coming out of my mouth. Two figures would be $50. This pack is $45. So $5 off. So for some troop building, if you missed them the first time around, or you just want more. But like I mentioned, there is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Star Wars Black Series figure in the form of Darth Maul with Sith Speeder. Out of all the things I could have stumbled on this episode, it took me several tries to say Sith Speeder. Sith Speeder. I got it down now. Sith Speeder. Nope, lost it. This looks to be the new Maul mold that they debuted earlier in the year and is coming in a 3-pack with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. All new sculpt and articulation, which was sorely needed because they've been rocking the original Darth Maul body for 10 years now. I was afraid they were going to pull it back out for this exclusive. They've done that, like C-3PO, they updated and then came back around and made an archive version of the first shittier body. But thankfully, I do believe that this is the updated body. Also comes with a robe, the Dark Eye probe droid, lightsaber, and binoculars. Oh, and the Sith Speeder, in case you missed that. That seems slightly small, but it also looks like that Darth Maul isn't seated all the way down onto the vehicle. So there may be some fudging to be done. Get him down further to where the front is like where it's supposed to be, and then the back of the neck. No, I haven't looked at a lot of pictures of the Sith Speeder over the years. You want to know what's most tempting for me though? The packaging. I'm gonna say this a couple of times, which is so out of character for me. Usually it's like, oh, okay, cardboard, this and that. But this does tug at some nostalgia strings because it looks just like the late 90s Hasbro 12-inch box. I didn't collect a lot of those figures, but I always liked the look of that. Just how Darth Maul was on the speeder in the window with the reds and everything. Oh, it just looked good. And this looks good. Is that enough for me to get this version, even though I have the Figuarts Sith Speeder? I don't know. Should I get this to get that new Maul? And then skip the 3-pack? But then the 3-pack has an updated head and some soft goods. Ooh, decisions need to be made in the next month. But I'm locking myself in somehow, some way on the Hasbro San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Marvel Legends Death's Head. This is my main want. This is my main get, hopefully. Hopefully. Not that I have a deep connection to the character. In fact, I've only read him in a few issues, but he has handbook cred, and to me, that goes a long way. That and the general look of the character. Doesn't he just look spiky and awesome? He just has a very unique look, and I've always thought that would make an amazing action figure. So much so that I started a custom of this several months ago, and bam, here we are. Mine reuses the same arms and gauntlets, that modern type Colossus, but then Death's Head goes back and uses some parts from the classic Colossus that we got with Juggernaut. Definitely the torso and upper legs, because remember that classic Colossus had a rubber inlay on the upper torso for the shoulder pads. It looks like they've changed that here to take out the wrinkles between the pecs and expose more of the neck. Seems new from the knees down, and then the various overlays, and of course the head. Don't get super excited though. Again, this is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I've said several times, the best exclusives are just repaints of characters that we already have in the main line. And while technically we do have a Death's Head in the main Marvel Legends line, I don't think a lot of people would argue that this is the more popular version. Don't get me wrong, I know Death's Head 2 has its fans too, and you already got that. But this is the original Death's Head. Look, classic glory. And while the announcement of the figure itself was a surprise, it's the packaging that takes the cake. I mean, the frosting, the roses on the corners, after everyone's had a piece, there's just the cake crumbles and morsels on the pan. It even scrapes that off. It's just like, all of it, all of it. This homage to the 90s trading cards, oh. And again, I'm not a packaging guy. I don't display a lot on card, in box. But man, I'd have to think twice if they made characters that are more near and dear to me in this same style. For Death's Head, I'd just want the one, have the figure. But if they were to make something like, you know, Rachel Summers in her Phoenix Hound costume to finish off my favorite version of Excalibur, I may buy two to display one as like the trading card. But hey, Death's Head as I remember him. Maybe I'll pivot with my custom and make the greenish vested Transformers version, maybe. Yes? And that's it for this week. At least that's what I have in front of me at the moment as I'm recording this. If I missed anything, of course we'll swing back around next week. Special thanks to the Patreon. Again, they have named themselves the Nobots, and this week there's a logo. Extra special thanks goes to Nick Pyers for that, because just out of the blue, he sent them to me, which was a good thing because I was struggling. I am not a graphic artist. I'm barely a video editor. I get by, but if it's from scratch, I can't do it. The Nobots! This week I posted a small company playday, the indie toy company playday, with their unique characters and figures and such. It looks like I'm already gonna have enough stuff to do another one of those very, very soon, because going back, Big Dub at Joefest picked up the Monster Force Forgotten King for me. Is that even showing up against the blue? It's kind of greenish. Maybe it'll work. It's so pretty in the translucent plastic. Like I showed a minute ago, Aces of Aviation from Ramen Toy. Special thanks to Ace for sending that out. The box, I know you won't be able to see it here, but it has a texture to it, almost a leather-like thing. It feels very premium. Was that too ASMR? I got the Combatants Fight for Glory Quesos, the Crasher. I've had this for a little bit, forgot about it for the last play day, and then as I stacked stuff over here, I thought, oh, there's a big-ass Minotaur. That'll go on the list. And then I think I have something coming from Loosecollector, a special sneak peek of whatever. I don't know. He just confirmed address and said, be on the lookout. But first, I'll have to get to the Big Bad Toy Store Playday, open some boxes. There's a few over there, and I have forgotten what's in half of them. So we'll do it a little bit different. We'll crack open the boxes, pull it out, see what's in them, and then I'll open them up, look at the figures inside, no matter what they are. I think there's some Masters of the Universe. I think there's some MAFEX, a couple other things. Well, we'll see. And then as always, working on a custom play day. Got to do some more painting. I got some done this week. Like I said, I was going to relax a little bit, do that. I got some things prepped, got some things base coated, need to do some detail work. But that's how it goes with customs. You just never know. One night you'll be like, I feel like watching some TV tonight. And then another night, you have 6 things going on at the same time. Just, paint this part, wash the brush, wash, dry brush, let's do this, to the point where I get kind of overwhelmed and go, I'm gonna go back in and watch some TV. But that's the process. That's my process. So more videos on the way. We'll look at some more toys. We'll have a good old time. Till then, bye.